What if I told you the most famous model of grief was never actually about grieving? What if I told you that feeling numb, angry, or even relieved after a loss isn't just okay, but completely normal? For decades, we've been handed a script for how we're supposed to feel when we lose someone or something important. It's a script that usually involves a neat 5 step checklist and an expectation of constant visible sadness. But what happens when your reality doesn't match that script? You feel guilty. You feel isolated. You start to wonder, am I doing this wrong? The simple, reassuring truth is this: there is no single right way to grieve. Your grief is as unique as your fingerprint. This video is about tearing up that old, unhelpful script. We're going to dismantle the myths that cause so much shame, explore the real, scientifically backed ways people process loss, and most importantly, validate your experience. We'll give you coping strategies tailored to what you are actually feeling, not what you think you should be feeling. The Great Grief Myth. We've all been taught. Let's start with the biggest myth of them all, the one that has shaped our entire cultural understanding of loss: the 5 stages of grief. You know them: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Here's the bombshell: psychiatrist Elisabeth Kübler-Ross didn't develop these stages for people who were grieving. Her 1969 book, On Death and Dying, was based on her work with terminally ill patients processing their own mortality. The stages were only applied to grieving friends and family later on. In fact, Kubler-Ross herself later clarified that her work was being misinterpreted, stating that the stages aren't linear and don't happen in a specific order. Grief isn't a checklist. It's more like a roller coaster of emotions that can overlap, reappear, and be skipped entirely. And that brings us to myth number 2. If you're not constantly sad and crying, you're not really grieving. This one is so damaging because it invalidates a huge range of normal human emotions. Crying is a common response, but it's far from the only one. Research actually shows that emotional numbness is one of the most typical initial responses to loss, especially if it was sudden. Your brain is essentially protecting you from a level of pain that would be too overwhelming to process all at once. So, if you feel detached, like you're just going through the motions, that is a valid and common self preservation mechanism. Beyond numbness, it's also normal to feel anger at the unfairness of it all, guilt over things said or unsaid, and yes, even relief. Relief can surface if a loved one was suffering for a long time or if the relationship was difficult, and feeling that relief does not erase your love or your pain. Whatever you are feeling, sadness, anger, confusion, numbness, or relief is the correct feeling. Myth number 3 is the idea that grief has an expiration date. You've probably heard it. It's been a year. Shouldn't you be over it by now? This is fundamentally wrong. There is no specific time frame for grieving. Healing isn't about getting over a loss, it's about learning to carry it differently. The intensity often changes over time, but grief doesn't just end, it becomes a part of your story, and anniversaries, songs, or smells can bring those feelings right back to the surface years later. That's not a sign of regression, it's a sign of connection. Myth number 4: grief only counts for big losses, like the death of a close family member. The truth is that grief can stem from over 40 different types of loss, including divorce, a major health diagnosis, losing a job, moving away from home, or a strained relationship. Any loss that feels significant to you deserves to be validated. And the last big one, myth number 5: you have to be strong and just ignore the pain. Many of us are taught to put on a brave face to avoid burdening others. But trying to suppress your feelings only prolongs the process. Bottling it all up doesn't make the pain go away. It can lead to complications like anxiety or depression down the road. Real strength in grief often looks like vulnerability. It's having the courage to be honest with yourself and others about your pain. Finding your grief style, intuitive versus instrumental. Now that we've cleared away what grief isn't, let's talk about what it is. Instead of forcing everyone into one box, researchers like Dr. Kenneth Doka and Dr. Terry Martin have suggested a more helpful model. They found that people tend to grieve along a spectrum with two main styles, intuitive and instrumental. And it's really important to know these have nothing to do with gender, despite old stereotypes. Most of us are a blend, but we usually lean one way more than the other. Intuitive grievers experience and process loss primarily through emotion. If this is you, you might feel things as intense waves of sadness, anger, or anxiety. You have a strong need to express these feelings, and you find healing by talking about the loss, crying, and seeking emotional support from others. For you, sharing stories and connecting with people who get it is a crucial part of the process. On the other end are instrumental grievers. Their grief is experienced more cognitively and physically. Instead of focusing on feelings, you might find yourself focused on thinking and doing. This could mean you're constantly replaying what happened, trying to problem solve, or channeling your energy into activities. An instrumental griever might cope by creating a memorial, starting a charity, tackling home projects, or pouring themselves into exercise. To an outsider, it might look like they're not dealing with their emotions, but they are, just in a different, more action oriented way. Now, this is where it can get complicated. Something called dissonant grief happens when your natural grieving style clashes with the expectations of your family or society. For example, an instrumental griever who needs to do something might be told they're being cold and unfeeling. An intuitive griever who needs to cry and talk might be told to be strong and stop being so emotional. This gap between how you feel and how you're told you should feel is a major source of guilt and shame. Recognizing your own style and understanding that other styles are just as valid is a huge step towards self compassion. Grief can feel incredibly isolating, but you are not alone. One of the most powerful things we can do is share our experiences and see ourselves in each other's stories. So, if you feel comfortable, please share one myth about grief you've had to unlearn in the comments below. Let's create a space of real understanding for one another. And if this video was helpful, please subscribe for more content that supports your mental and emotional well being. Also, I have created a helpful resource, Grief, Loss, and Renewal Workbook, a versatile 58-page workbook designed to help you process grief and loss gently and explore what's next without pressure. The link's in the description below. Let's continue. Coping strategies that actually work for you. The best coping strategy is always the one that honors your natural grieving style. There is no one-size-fits-all solution. If you lean more toward being an intuitive griever, your path to healing lies in expression. First, give yourself explicit permission to feel whatever you're feeling without judgment. It is absolutely okay to not be okay. Find safe outlets to express what's inside. Talk to a trusted friend who is a good listener, not a problem solver. Journaling can be incredibly powerful. Write letters to the person you lost, or just pour out your raw thoughts without censoring yourself. Creative expression like painting or music can also be a profound release. It might also help to schedule grief time, a dedicated time to cry, or just sit with your sadness without interruption. This honors your feelings without letting them consume your entire day. If you're more of an instrumental griever, you need to channel your grief into action. Your healing comes from doing. Engage in activities that give you a sense of control, like managing the practical details after a loss or planning a memorial service. Find a physical release, go for a run, hit a punching bag, do strenuous yard work. Physical exertion is an amazing outlet for the pent up energy of grief. Create something meaningful. This could be a photo album, a garden, or volunteering for a cause that mattered to your loved one. These actions transform your grief into a catalyst for positive change and create a continuing bond with what you've lost. And then there are a few universal strategies that can support any grieving style. First, build a simple routine. Grief is exhausting. Try to maintain a basic schedule for sleeping, eating, and gentle movement. This provides an anchor when everything feels chaotic. Second, seek connection, but do it your way. This might mean a support group for an intuitive growser or working alongside others on a project for an instrumental growser. The key is to avoid isolation. Third, plan for grief triggers. Anniversaries, birthdays, and holidays can be tough. Anticipating them allows you to make a plan, whether that's creating a new ritual or just making sure you have support on that day. And finally, please know when to seek professional help. If your grief feels stuck, if it's consistently keeping you from functioning in your daily life, or if you're having thoughts of harming yourself, a therapist or grief counselor can provide essential support. If you take away just one thing from this video, I want it to be a feeling of validation. Grief is not a problem to be solved. It is a natural human response to loss. It's not a tidy, linear process, but a messy, unpredictable, and deeply personal journey. Whether you are crying every day, feeling completely numb, finding comfort in action, or experiencing a mix of everything, you are not doing it wrong. Your grief is your own. It is a testament to the love and connection you experienced, and that is something that can never be invalidated. Be patient with yourself, be compassionate with your process, and know that whatever you are feeling is okay. If you got value from this video, please share it with someone you know. Don't forget to get the Grief, Loss, and Renewal Workbook, a versatile 58-page workbook designed to help you process grief and loss gently and explore what's next without pressure. The links in the description below. For more helpful support, please watch the next video on the screen. A grief expert reveals what to never say to someone in pain.